Division rivals squaring off. The Toyota starting lineup first for the visiting Memphis Grizzlies. Kyle Lowry gets his first start. Damon Stoudemire out with his stomach virus. So Kyle is out. Darko Milicic returns to join Mike Miller and Pau Gasol and Rudy Gay for head coach Mark Ivaroni. A very thoughtful, studious pose from the head coach of the Grizzlies. For the New Orleans Hornets, they come in at 12-7, but only 4-5 on the home floor. They're a much better road team. They start their customary starting lineup of Peja Stojakovic, David West, Tyson Chandler, a rebounding machine, Morris Peterson, the former Raptor, and former Rookie of the Year, Chris Paul, for former Grizzly, Byron Scott.
The key to guarding Chris Paul tonight, you can see the distance. See how much Kyle Lowry is giving Chris Paul. He's giving him about 4 feet. He's forcing that shot.
And then Paul gets his own miss over Milicic. Miller misfiring from 3. West in rhythm. Well, that's what David West did to the Grizzlies. Rudy Gay starts 0 for 3. Stojakovic spots up 4-3 and puts it in. Peja Stojakovic, 45.5% from long range.
Protected more tonight because Kyle's going to have to go 40-plus minutes. He needs to stay out of foul trouble.
Stojakovic.
Well, you got to belly him. Pete.
I don't know if Mike lost the handle or was knocked away. It's a turnover. Cargo feeding Chris Paul. Grizzlies get back defensively. Shot clock is off. Grizzlies do not have a foul to give. 14 fouls for the Grizzlies. Paul with the jumper puts it in with 1.1.
Chris Paul.
Chandler against Milicic, nowhere to go. Paul has to crank up a 3 and put it in. Boy, Chris Paul, a career year across the board, being out-rebounded by 10. Paul for 3. Away. And a lob for Chandler. Tyson Chandler and Chris Paul. When these two guys both go for double-doubles, the Hornets are 5-0.
Now grabbed Powell by the shirt and said, hey, you maybe he was communicating well. You tend to do a lot of things correctly.
Shot clock is off. Paul gets by Lowry. Sets up David West for 3, and he puts it in. Aside. Grizzlies within 4. West backing down against Miller. Paul has hit a couple of 3s. He's hit another one.
Well, Paul's done well with the 3s, Pete, here, and I'll lecture. He's got the matchup the Grizzlies like.
And Chris Paul just blows by everybody. Kyle.
Now he's shooting the basketball, which is the key.
Well, he went for a season-high 30 in the loss at home against Portland, and Paul gets the hometown bounce.
Really has picked up from there, though.
Kyle got the knockaway. Rudy couldn't get it back. West in deep. David West, 8 to shoot. Melvin Ely back on the floor, inside out. Paul. Another 3 for Chris Paul.
You know, the Grizzlies talked about making Paul shoot from outside, Pete, but they really talked more about off the dribble. Those are just...
Margin is at 3. Make it 4 for New Orleans with 2-3 zone.
Well, Pete, you ask why do the Grizzlies go for a 2-3 zone? Well, first of all, that usually makes people shoot from the outside, but it also buys your guys some
3 zone. Paul steps up for 3.
That's just crazy. That is just crazy.
Some teams always give you fits. The Hornets have given the Grizzlies fits, winning 7 of the last 8. If it's David West with a career high in the first meeting, it's Chris Paul with a season high tonight. 32 points. He averages 19.2. Sean, 2 nights ago, he couldn't find the bucket. He was 4 for 14, 0 for 2 from downtown. Only had 14 points. Tonight, I don't know what happened in the last 48 hours, but Chris Paul got well.
Pete, the entire team of the Hornets went 6 for 17 2 games ago, and then 4 for 15. Chris Paul is 5 for 6. I like the defense the Grizzlies have played. That's why I'm announcing and not coaching. I think the Grizzlies are playing well, but you look up and the Hornets have 95 points. There's still 7 minutes to go.
And Jackson beginning to feel it.
Yeah,
and
not
that,
enough stop.
Yeah.
Get back and play some defense.
Grizzlies need a stop. Paul.
Gee,
yeah, if the ball's in his hands, it's tough to get a...
He's got to get over on that hand and force him back in the middle.
Paul adds to his season high night, 35. Hornets have not lost a game when scoring 100. And 2 free throws by Chris Milicic, Miller, and Lowry on the floor. 1.7. Grizzlies got to get it in. A lob for Rudy, stolen by Chris Paul. There's time on the clock. If that would have gone in, it would have been the highlight of the decade.
Awesome.
The Hornets have not lost an overtime game since December of 2005.
Well, they're due.
They are due.
Interesting, though, Pete. West has 5. Chandler has 4. Grizzlies, Pau Gasol has 4, and so does Kyle Lowry.
And a three-point opportunity for Chris Paul, building on his career high.
Well, now you have to really be careful if you're Kyle Lowry, because this is his 5th foul. And it made no sense. If you have 1 foul, maybe. If you have 4, it's more important for Kyle Lowry to stay in the game. Remember, there's 4 minutes left to go in the game. That's an eternity if you're just playing regulation. So you got to look at it as regulation.
Paul with a lob, and Chandler the reverse dunk. Been good for the Grizzlies. Chris Paul, old-fashioned three-point play, and then his 9th assist of the night.
Well, Pete, that's why you go under the screen, because you don't want to have that happen. That's what happens when you go over it and you get caught on the screen.
3-point lead, under 2.5 remaining in the first overtime. Paul, the crossover, and a step-back gun that goes.
3 would be nice.
Rudy, that's a 3, hits in! Rudy Gay knots the game at 116 with 23.8. Rudy ties his career high with 31, and the Hornets have it. Shot clock is off.
Going to isolate Chris Paul up top, Pete. He wants the whole court to go down low. You see the 1-4 set. You don't see anybody else in the play.
High screen by Chandler. Paul to the cup, laid it in with 1.8. Grizzlies call for time with 1.8. Paul with 43 points and 9 assists. 1.8 remaining. Hornets with a 2-point lead. Rudy Gay tied the game at 116, and in so doing tied his career high with 31. Second time he has gone for 31 this season. And then Chris Paul adding to his career best night, 43 for Chris Paul. He has done it all tonight for New Orleans. Navarro in the ball game for Darko Milicic, 1.8. Knocked the floor with 1.2. And Paul will just dribble out the clock, and that'll do it. The Grizzlies, honesty compels us to report, now 0-6 when the margin is 3 or fewer. Sean, they played their hearts out tonight. Kyle Lowry, his first start, 15 minutes going up against Chris Paul. Pau Gasol, 46 minutes. Rudy Gay, 46 minutes. Rudy ties his career high, but it just never seems to be enough.
Well, I agree with you, Pete. I think it was one of the best efforts of the year. Again, the Hornets keep their overtime record perfect.
12 straight overtime wins for the Hornets. The Grizzlies' heartbreak continues, 0-6 in games decided by 3 or fewer points. Hornets win at 118-116 despite a career best 31 from Rudy Gay. Chris Paul, a career night, he has 43. Up next, the FSN final score tomorrow.